Okay, so first thing, all this information for the new items, new mods. So this is how they're gonna add in the Elrion mod and stuff, so that's cool. I'm guessing that's what that is. Awesome. Okay, and we've already seen the map information. Now here we go, the scarabs, cartography scarab, breach scarab, so these are the different types. Reliquary, Bestiary, Shaper, Elder, Sulphite, that's called Divinity, or Divination, Torment, Ambush, Harbinger, and Parandus. Okay, cool, so they're just those different types, and assumably we'll be able to farm those, depending on how you structure your tree of betrayal. So that's pretty cool. Okay, here we go. So either this is just really huge, or they just decided to add a table of contents section this time. So let's get started right here into it. The Betrayal Challenge League. Challenge leagues are a great opportunity for a fresh start in a new economy. I think they pretty much have this every time. But you're encouraged to join a new league. Cool. With 3.5, there are standard and hardcore, solo self-found, standard and hardcore variations of Betrayal challenge leagues available. Okay, they have some core mechanics and items. You can create private league versions of these leagues with mods that make the game harder. Okay, cool. Tried one of the leagues there for a little bit with the mod, only white items and uniques. Could be interesting. Let's see, especially with the new crafting. In Betrayal Challenge League, you investigate the Immortal Syndicate. There we go. The Immortal Syndicate, however you structure that, that's what it's called. Whose sinister operations have begun to appear across Rayclass and Oriath. Help the newest master, June? Ortoy, as she, okay, June, okay. Ortoy, as she investigates the disappearance of several prominent exiles in relation to the sudden rise of the Immortal Syndicate. Okay. So you find dismantle Syndicate fortifications, halt the transportation of Syndicate resources, prevent the Syndicate from destroying vital evidence in their research compounds, and fight off their attempts to assassinate you. Track your progress on the investigation board and force the Syndicate members you defeat to bargain with you, betray their allies, face interrogation, or be executed. Use the information you gain from these actions to raid Syndicate safe houses. Battle your way through the safe house to learn who leads the Syndicate. Gain valuable rewards based on who you defeat in each safe house, including items with powerful Veld mods. Yeah, juicy Veld mods. June can help you pull back the veil, revealing untold power on these items. The new challenge leagues includes 40 new challenges. We complete 12, you receive reward 24, and then the 36. You'll receive the Betrayal Cloak. Yeah, Aura effect at 24, awesome, and then the helmet attachment for the 12. They're only obtainable in the league, as they do every league with the challenge MTXs. From the 19th challenge onward, and for every third challenge after that, you will receive pieces of the Betrayal Totem Pole. Okay, let's move on. Major new content and features. The new roster of masters. Alva, Nico, Einhar have returned and have brought their respective league features with them. They, along with Zana and the Betrayal League's June Ortoy, make up the new roster of masters. Einhar's Bestiary content has been revamped. He now accompanies you on the hunt and manages nets for you. Okay, next they have overhauled the hideout system. Hideouts favor and decorations are now shared account-wide. You will now encounter hideouts throughout the game after rescuing Helena in Act 2. Hideouts must be cleared of enemies before they can be claimed. You can now reclaim all your hideout decorations except stashes, the waypoint, and your crafting bench. So yeah, they're gonna have one crafting bench now, looks like. With the click of a button, and even export your hideout layout if you're particularly proud of your creation. That's actually pretty cool. Not my thing, but I know there's a lot of people that like to do crazy things, and it's fun to watch, like all the different builds. Special map only hideouts are waiting in the in-game, but are rare to stumble upon. Seems legit. Okay, added a new strength/dex skill gem. Shattering Steel. Swing an axe or sword, releasing projectiles in sequence. The projectile shatters when colliding with an enemy, or after traveling a short distance, with the shattered pieces dealing damage in front of the impact location. Okay. And the next one's Lancing Steel. Thrust an axe or sword, releasing primary projectile that impels enemies that it hits. Additional projectiles appear nearby as smaller metal shards and fly forward after a short delay. Next they have the Intelligence Gem, Winter Orb. You channel to conjure an orb above you which pelts nearby enemies with projectiles, then explode when they hit the ground. Channel for longer to build up stages on the skill. The orb loses stages over its duration after you stop channeling. Okay. Kind of like BV kind of thing. Might check that out sometime during the league. Here we go. Now we get to the brands. So Storm Brand, Intelligence Skill. Create a magical brand that can attach to nearby enemies until it dies. Periodically activates firing beams which damage nearby enemies and the enemy around them. Armageddon Brand, we saw that in the video, which I guess we saw Storm Brand as well. It does the little meteor, falls to the ground, and moves on. Hopefully we get some numbers down here, because I might do one of those. Okay, here we go. Here we got a new one. Strength, Intelligence, Skill Gem, Brand Recall. Detach your brands from enemies and return them to you. Activating their effect, your brands will have increased branding range until they next brand an enemy. Okay, that's pretty cool. So, yeah, brand build. Definitely gonna have to check those out. Let's see. Now here we go. Now we get into the banners. One second. Dread Banner. Cast to reserve mana and carry a banner which lets nearby allies inflict Impale with attacks. Okay, cool. So that's the same thing from the Lancing Steel. And lessens the accuracy of nearby enemies. Right? Yeah, that's the new thing from... Okay, cool. So you get the Impale effect from Dread Banner. That's kind of cool. So it lessens the accuracy of nearby enemies, gain stages by impaling enemies while carrying the banner. Casting the skill again places the banner, ending the mana reservation. Once placed, it becomes more powerful for each stage gained while carried. Okay, there we go. Let's see. War Banner. Cast to reserve mana and carry a banner which increases the accuracy of nearby allies and the physical damage taken by nearby enemies. Nearby allies. Gain stages by killing enemies while carrying the banner. Okay. So this is going to be... War Banner is what you're going to use as a DPS, and then the other one, Dread Banner, you'll use as a support. That way you just have to impel the enemies to get it. Okay. Interesting. So I guess it's impel with attacks, so... Gain stages by impelling enemies while carrying the banner. So if you can impel with any attack at that point, that's kind of cool. Okay, so War Banner though, okay. Once placed, it becomes more powerful for each stage gained while carried. Okay, we'll have to see the percentages on that to really tell how good that is. Okay, added a new strength/intelligence support gem, multiple totems, +2 maximum number of totems. They already released that one. That's OP. That's 200% damage, and it only has 40% less starting out. If that goes down to 30, that's just gross. Then the next support we got here is Bone Shield, Dex Int. Supported skills. Yeah, let me go ahead and... There we go. Supported skills have increased effect of chill on enemies. There, that fixes that. Enemies in chilling areas from supported skills take increased cold damage over time and have damage taken increased by chill effect. I think they said starting out it's 21%. Enemies chilled by supported skills take increased cold damage over time and have damage taken increased by chill effect. Okay, same thing with both cold damage and damage over time. Added a new skill, Focus. By itself, Focus does nothing. But new Veiled item mods. So if they're adding a new skill, I'm guessing, I'm guessing each time now that they add a new master or anything. But new Veiled item modifiers available in Betrayal League. So I'm guessing either they're going to take away Focus after this, or boom, it's core. Interesting. But have powerful and build enabling interactions with it. The Focus skill is enabled when you when you equip an item with a mod that interacts with Focus. Okay, I was like, they're just adding a skill gem, but okay, it's a separate thing. Cool. Added the advanced skill gem tutorial by clicking on the new button on skill gem quest rewards throughout Act 1. You can see a preview. I think that was something they already had in the Chinese version. So I guess they're bringing that over here. Yeah, they need to, anything that helps new players get into the game. That's always good. Let's see. Added Atlas objectives, which are guaranteed master missions. So yeah, we already know about those. They can appear on any non-unique map, but will favor completed maps or maps adjacent to completed maps. They also refresh every day like daily missions used to. Cool. Added 13 new uniques, added 1 new fated unique prophecy. Wonder which one that is. Added 5 new divination cards, 13 new hideouts. Kind of curious to see what some of the map hideouts are. That'll be kind of cool to find, actually. Added 5 new maps, which replaced existing base types. Woohoo! Goodbye, Torture Chamber. Hopefully, Primordial Blocks. Yeah, Primordial Blocks is a million times better. Added Labyrinth enchantments for the new and reworked skills. Cool. Let's see, minor new content features, new Rogue Exile. Cool. Physics interaction with many skills, including Abyssal Cry, Blade Flurry, Blade Vortex. Cool, a bunch of different things there. The Lightning Mirage Nemesis mod now plays a noticeable sound. Okay. Performance of DirectX 9. New dialogue for Sin. Masters now have different exclamation mark color. It's orange. Okay. Hideout categorization for decorations. Hideout map device now has several art variations to select from. Ooh, okay, cool. I was wondering if that was just going to be a new MTX thing. That's nice. So we get to have the little swirling thing from the Templar Laboratory. Outstanding. You can now move and rotate your hideout waypoint. That's cool. Cosmetic aura effects can now be applied to any aura. Outstanding. Added a Seek Prophecy button to the Prophecy panel. That shows up whenever a Seal Prophecy button... The Seal Prophecy buttons are visible. Okay, cool. Continued to incrementally improve the sound, art, and effects and environments. Okay, so here we go. Master changes. All the masters' names are no longer Forsaken Masters. In fact, they've disappeared entirely. Where did they go? And we're worried about them. Einhar Frey is now a master. You can meet him in Act 2. He will help you capture beasts, which can be used to craft items at the Blood Altar. Pokemon sacrificing. Okay, so I'm guessing we got the full Menagerie back and we can go see it. I know they were talking about the increasing the size and we should really not notice a difference in the size of it, but... Or as far as we shouldn't notice it. That we shouldn't notice filling up on beasts. There we go. Words are hard. Okay, Alva Valai is now a master. Oh, sorry, skip Nico. Nico the Mad is now a master. You meet him in Act 4. He will help mine the full-taxic sulphite you find on your journeys to be used to light your way in the Azurite mine. Cool. Delve stuff. Awesome. Can't wait to do that again. Alva Valai incursions. Act 7 she'll appear. She'll send you on incursions into the Temple of Atzoatl during its construction in order to help her find its location in the present day. It was hidden in the forest, or whatever that meme was. Here we go. Okay, masters include Zana no longer have reputation levels. Including Zana no longer have reputation levels. There we go. Um, Features such as crafting bench options are as a result no longer unlocked by grinding master missions and instead unlocked by encountering specific locations, situations, or completing specific objectives. I'm really curious to see what those are because, yeah, having that movement speed craft for boots, juicy. Let's see. Hideouts are also no longer unlocked by improving their through master grinding. Instead, Helena will help you unlock new hideouts found throughout the campaign and very rarely within the Atlas. Okay. Newly obtained hideouts are automatically at their maximum size and hold all masters without upgrading. Cool. Zana's map device options and their items she sells are now unlocked based on progress through the Shaper/Elder questline. Ooh, that's the big thing I was wondering. So, is like the last tier just kill Uber Elder and then you get the whatever tier 8 would be? Well, that would be kind of cool. She can now occasionally sell higher tier maps as well as sextants. Okay, cool. Pretty hyped about that. Completing master missions still earns you favor, and masters now have favor levels that cap out at level 7. These levels only unlock hideout decorations and are account wide because favor decorations and hideouts are purely cosmetic. Okay, cool. Definitely good for the people who like to decorate. Favor cost for hideout decorations has been rebalanced. Okay, here we go. Character balance. Okay, the debuff Impale. When hit applies Impale, a portion of that hit's physical damage is recorded before sources of damage mitigation are applied. The next 5 hits against that target apply that recorded damage and reflect physical damage. You can have multiple impels on a target. Okay. So, yeah, if it's before mitigation, that's actually pretty good. Personally, I think the new skills kind of look a little lackluster, but as far as having the damage they need, I don't think that's going to be a problem, especially with that impel feature. And if you can have multiple impels on a target, then is that from one source? So if a skill causes an impel, can it stack essentially like on hit poison or something, and then instead of, damage over time, it's increased damage on hit? Or would it be impel effects for like a party? Huh. That'd be something to look at. That sounds like it could be broken in some way. Okay. Energy shield recharge is no longer interrupted by non-damage changes to your life or energy shield, such as when you spend your energy shield on skills via Eldritch Battery. They talked about that in the manifesto where they were trying to give Eldritch Battery more sources of use, because I mean really the only time I used it was for trap builds. It was good then, but that was about it. So yeah, Eldritch Battery casters now looks pretty good, pretty solid. Let's see, you can no longer use skills that require a specific weapon if you are dual wielding and one of your equipped weapons. So that's again the stat stick change. They got rid of stat sticks. Can't use it. So the only one that seems a little awkward for me is like if you use the Leap Slam, and then some people would prefer Leap Slam to Whirling Blades. I think that's the only awkward part, but other than that, no big deal. So as a result, though, and that's the other thing, anything that uses a main hand, if it can use the offhand when you have an offhand, it will. So as a result of this change, ground slam, vol ground slam, shield charge, leap slam, double strike, vol double strike, reckoning, ice crash, earthquake, sunder, word of light, edict of light, decree of light. Okay, all the different skills there. No longer, oh, okay, no longer main hand only. Cool, cool. Let's see. Add a new stats, non-element chaos damage over time multiplier and cold damage over time multiplier. These affect their respective damage over time types multiplicatively. That's kind of cool. Definitely want to check out what they did with the occultist, but we'll get there. Let's see. The total amount that you can slow the expiration of an effect on a character through a time-slowing mechanism such as temp chains is now 75%. That was also in the manifesto. Again, that still seems to be like a lot of slow. So yeah, I don't know how much people were getting, but maybe I'm pulling a dumb there, but I'm pretty sure I've rarely hit even 75% when I was doing like temp change, chill, and all that stuff. So, but I do know some people were slowing, like doing builds where certain attacks would just, bosses, they would just take 5 minutes, or they would be just locked and they couldn't move. Okay, updated the reminder text for elements to include the 3 new elements. Okay. How sources of additional maximum totems are described. That's kind of interesting. Updated and improved various mod descriptions. Okay, skill reworks. Here we go. Ooh, Tectonic Slam is there. So yeah, that's the one I was working on for Theorycraft. So rip that one. Maybe. We'll see. Arctic Breath, no longer a ground projectile, is now capable of passing over gaps and cliffs. Hype. No longer leaves a trail of chilled ground. Now leaves a chilling area on impact that deals cold damage over time. So yeah, like they showed in the video, it's pretty much Fireball, essentially mixed with Fire Trap, only cold. So yeah, looks good. Depending on the numbers, probably really strong. Ice Spear. So they completely changed how this thing works. In the video, you know, now fires a rapid sequence of ice spears which move 300% faster after arming. Let's see. Now grants additional critical strike multiplier after it arms. Okay, cool. So you kind of want to hit from range with it. And now pierces after it arms. Okay, Tectonic Slam, here we go. Charge Slam, which typically consumes an endurance charge, now deals 60% more damage, up from 18%. What? Now has a 35% chance to consume an endurance charge to create a charge slam, down from 100%. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it did have a huge area. Maybe that's what they're trying to nerf, to give it some variability in this area. If you can keep up your charges almost 100% of the time. But That one just seems odd. Okay, skill balance. So it looks like Vol Haste, Grace, Clarity, Discipline, Impurity, all the impurities, Molten Shell, Vol Righteous Fire, and Gluttony of Elements from the Blood of Corruption unique amulet are now all instant. Okay. With a very short cooldown. Awesome. Yeah, that was kind of annoying not having the ability to just instantly use Vol Righteous Fire. Where Righteous Fire is now instant. So yeah, that's cool. I like that. Tempest Shield is now instant. It's actually pretty cool. And now grants 3% chance to block spell damage. I like all these instant skills because that gives you so much more you can just press while on the go. And I mean, to save buttons you can always put it on cast when damage taken, but this way you get to max it out. Yeah, if you got the button to do it, then yeah. Okay, Vortex is now instant with a 1.8 second cooldown. It can now detonate from up to 5 Frostbolt projectiles at once. Okay, cool. Gains increased cooldown recovery speed as the gym level is up. Deals 42 to 63 cold damage at gym level 1 and 538 to 808 cold damage at gym level 20. Up from 458 to 688. That's pretty nice. Okay. And then what's this? 116.1 cold damage at 1 and 1.4k. Wow. 1.5k essentially. So 1495.6 base cold damage per second at gym level 20. More than doubled it. That is Vortex. Okay, no longer deals 40% more damage when cast on Frostbolt. So I wonder how you could. That's a build I'm gonna have to look at. And now Ice Nova deals 19 to 28, up from 15 to 21, and 632 to 930, up from 486 to 715. Not too bad. Can now expand from up to 2 Frostbolt projectiles at once. Okay, that's pretty cool. So they're really going for the Frostbolt Vortex Ice Nova combo. And no longer deals 40% more damage when cast on Frostbolt. Now has 20% less area of effect when cast on Frostbolt. Okay, that makes a little sense to have some kind of negative with the area there if you can cast it on 2. Now has a smaller radius at gym level 1. Gaining up to +4 radius at gym level 20. Okay, Cold Snap now deals 19.6 base cold damage at 1 and 1196 base cold damage at 20. Okay, up from 997. It's a bit of a buff. I think that was in an okay place. So, I mean, hey, I like cold skills getting buffed. That sounds pretty cool, especially with the new chill stuff coming in. These are all probably pretty strong. I'll have to theory craft a couple of builds on these probably. Whirling Blades now uses weapon attack time plus 0.6 seconds rather than overriding your base attack time. While base weapon speed will have some effect, this change is intended to reduce the travel speed difference between characters using weapons, local attack speed, modifiers, and characters who are not. Hey, thanks, Miss Live, for the follow. Let's see, we got Leap Slam. Now uses weapon attack time plus 0.55 seconds rather than overriding. Okay, so question is this a buff or a nerf? Depending on your build. Okay, here we go. Molten Strike. Ooh. We getting some nerfs here? Let's see. Now deals 120% of base damage at gym level 1 and 161% of base damage up from, whoa. Okay. Yeah, so that's a buff. Projectiles deal 40% less damage at gym level 1 and 30% less damage from 40% at gym level 20. What? So they're buffing Molten Strike. I mean, I guess this is in regard to the stat stick nerf, maybe. Or they're just wanting Molten Strike to be played more. I mean, the only thing wrong with Molten Strike is it's just a little clunky to map with if that's all you're using is Molten Strike. But otherwise, it's in a pretty solid place. Okay. Well, Molten Strike OP. Phase Run now grants 50% reduced visibility to enemies, down from 80%. Uh-oh. There goes the Phase Run, don't look at me enemies build in the Delve. That's how they're getting by that one. Okay, Herald of Purity. Minions summoned by this skill now deal more physical base on gym level rather than more damage. So I guess you can, or cannot, put minion supports on it. Didn't really check out that build too much, so kind of odd. Herald of Agony. Now this was awesome. Let's see what they've done here. The Agony Crawler summoned by this skill now deals increased physical damage per virulence you have rather than increased damage. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at the old ones and of those. I had the Agony build on my, or the Agony Crawler on my poison build, but it was just kind of there just because Herald of Agony helps poison. Let's see, support gem balance. Cast on crit, here we go. Down from 0.5, we got the 0.15 seconds. Yeah, cast on crit is back. And then we got cast on melee kill going down to 0.15 seconds. Looking good. Okay. Cast on crit discharge, here we go. Let's see. Block chance reduction support. Support skills now have 10% reduced enemy block chance at gym level 1, down from 20%, and 20% reduced enemy block chance at gym level 20. Cool, that's down from 29. So they're nerfing that for PvP. If a supported skill is blocked, it inflicts overpowered, which reduces block chance by 5% for 4 seconds. Cool. So I guess that's kind of their medium in between. Okay, here we go. Passive tree balance. Let's see. Eldritch Battery now causes you to have 50% less energy shield recharge rate. They talked about that in the manifesto, or actually even when they talked about Eldritch Battery. The Essence Surge cluster next to Eldritch Battery now grants a total of 30% increased energy shield recharge rate, down from 60. But it now also grants 60 flat energy shield. That's pretty nice. Yes, total buff. I mean, some ES builds are already getting back up to 15 to 20k, so I mean, this is... Yeah, ES builds are back, yo. Okay, Faith and Steel near the Templar now also grants 10% increased energy shield recharge rate. I think that's the one with armor and ES. So then I guess it's just got recharge on it. Cool. Foresight, north of the Scion, now also grants 10% increased energy shield recharge rate. Okay. Let's see. Added passive skill clusters for the new brand skills. The explosive rune cluster between the Templar and the Witch increases damage with brand skills, brand attachment, range, and also and allows you to cast an additional brand. Okay, so you can... So what's the limit on those? Because I know in the video they showed off 3. So is that how much you get if you spec into it? That'll be interesting to see. Let's see, the Runesmith cluster near the Shadow grants increased damage with brand skills, brand attachment range, brand activation frequency, causes your brands to deal increased damage to enemies they are attached to, and allows you to cast an additional brand. Okay, so there's another one. So we got one of the Templar to Witch, and then near the Shadow. So I'm guessing that's to the right of the Shadow. Okay, let's see here. Add a new keystone adjacent to Ancestral Bond keystone. Okay. So, yeah, it's pretty much the north side of the tree for all of these. Rune Binder, -1 to maximum number of summon... Oh, okay, this is totems. Okay. Sorry. Thought we were still talking brands here. -1 to maximum number of summon totems. You can have an additional brand... Oh, okay, it is for brands. Never mind. Keep reading. Duh. Okay. So... Yeah, if they attach to deal their damage, then this helps single target for brands. And then you just get rid of having a totem. The Ancestral Bond cluster now also offers increased damage with brand skills. That's kind of cool. So it's going to be Riot attached there. Oh yeah, because they're adding brand stuff to the Hierophant, aren't they? Increased brand attachment range and increased brand activation frequency. Okay, then they got the Shaman's Domain cluster near the Witch. Now also offers increased critical strike chance with brand skills, increased damage with brand skills, and additional crit strike multiplier with brand skills. Next, they modified several cold and chaos damage clusters to support The damage over time skills. Okay, so this is what I'm curious about. Is Essence Drain back? Should I actually play it to its entirety for once? Or am I gonna play Blight? The Corruption Wheel, north of the Witch, now also grants a total of plus 11% to non-element chaos damage over time. Oh, multiplier. Ooh. So 11% more. Nice. The Corruption Notable now grants 10% increased damage over time, down from 15%, and 10% increased chaos damage, down from 15. So that's going to be 20 total instead of 30 total, but if that's in the same cluster, you get 11% more. Yeah, yes please. Let's see. Atrophy between the Shadow and Witch, and the 3 preceding passives now grant plus 19% to non-element chaos damage over time multiplier. Atrophy now grants 20% increased chaos damage, down from 25%. The 3 preceding passives now each grant 10% increased chaos damage, down from 12. So we get 19% more and lose just 7%? Okay. Because normally you wouldn't take any of these for just, like, straight chaos damage most of the time, or even poison damage. So, not that big of a loss. Okay, Growth and Decay. Now also grants 8% to both cold damage over time multiplier and non-element chaos damage over time multiplier. That's cool. The method to the Madness cluster near the Shadow provides a total of 14% multiplier plus 28% to chaos resistance, up from 20. Okay, that's cool. And 46% increased chaos damage, down from 54, which I'm okay trading that off for 14% more. No big deal there. And then we got Breath of Rhyme, north of the Witch. The 2 preceding passives now also grant a total of 20% to cold damage over time multiplier. So yeah, Vortex is looking pretty juicy right now. The Fingers of Frost cluster near the Shadow now provides a total of 28% increased chaos damage, down from 36, and then it gives though a plus 22% multiplier. Nice. 20% increased chill effect, or effective chill. 20% increased chill duration, down from 30%. 20% increased freeze duration, 5% chance to freeze, 10% chance to freeze enemies which are chilled, and causes enemies to become chilled as they unfreeze. Okay, so this is that thing to the top right of the Shadow near the Essence Reaver, I think. Okay, this can spread across 5 total passives from 4. Okay. I don't know if stretching up there is going to be worth it though. 22% more. It depends on if you can get increased chill effect for the more damage. It might be worth. Here we go. Okay, Ascendancy Balances. Now, Occultist, I can't wait to see the chaos damage here. Here we go. Withering Presence, plus 60%. So that's down the middle, I believe. Yeah, that's the plus 60% to chaos resistance, plus 20% to non-element chaos damage over time multiplier. Every second. Inflict withered on nearby enemies for 15 seconds. Nearby hindered enemies deal 50% reduced damage over time. Oh, okay, every second inflict withered on nearby enemies. Okay, never mind. So does that completely change? Oh wait, that's new. It's a new notable. Okay, never mind. Derp. So that's pretty cool. If they still got the lowering resist notable in there, that could be a cool combo with it. Anyway, they got another new notable, Frigid Wake. Cannot be chilled, cannot be frozen. Ooh, nice. Plus 20% chance, or plus 20% to cold damage over time multiplier, so 20% more every 3 seconds. 25% chance to freeze nearby chilled unique enemies for 0.6 seconds. That's kind of interesting. So, I mean, can we freeze Uber Elder? What? Every 3 seconds, freeze nearby chilled non-unique enemies for 0.6 seconds. Nearby chilled enemies deal 10% reduced damage with hits. Okay, cool. Add a small passive leading to Withering Presence, which grants 8% increased maximum energy shield and 5% to non-element chaos damage over time multiplier. Another small passive to Frigid Wake, which grants 8% to maximum energy shield and 5% to cold damage over time multiplier. And Void Beacon now also causes nearby enemies to have minus 20% to cold resistance. Okay, so that's the one that has the minus 20% to chaos res. So it also will affect cold, and the small passive to it will also grant 10% increased cold damage. Cool. So instead of doing curses, you just do cold and ES, or you could do curses and then cold damage, and then do a life build, and then do some kind of combination with that. Get mind over matter. Yeah, that's an idea. Because the curse effectiveness is hard to pass up. But with the new ES, man, that's a lot of ES that you can get now. Those are some pretty juicy nodes. Especially since you can't have your ES interrupted once it starts recharge, and the recharge rate increase. That's pretty hard to pass up for going for everything ES. Okay, let's go on. The champion. Now, new notable. Master of Metal. 20% chance to impel enemies on hit with attacks. Okay, impels you inflict last 2 additional hits. If you've impelled an enemy recently, you and nearby allies have plus 1,000 to armor. You and nearby allies deal 4 to 8 added physical damage per impel on the enemy. That is interesting. I was thinking about doing a facebreaker build, and that looks like an idea. Added a small passive leading to Master of Metal, which grants 15% increased evasion rating and armor, and 8% increased impel effect. Definitely a good node for support champion. That's definitely going to be a big deal. Inspirational now also causes your banner skills to reserve no mana, recover 20% of planted banner stages when you cast a banner while you have a banner planted, and cause you and nearby allies to recover 0.5% of maximum life per banner stage when you plant a banner. Ooh. That's pretty cool. So you essentially have a healer champion? And then it also grants 15% increased effect of non-curse auras from your skills. So big news for the champion support builds. Pretty cool. The new Hierophant skills, notable. Let's see. Sign of Purpose. You can cast an additional brand. Okay, cool. Figure that would be a thing. Enemies take 10% increased damage, so that's a more multiplier for each of your brands attached to them. So with that one node, you can get an extra attachment of a brand. Brand recall has 30% increased cooldown recovery speed. Okay. 14% increased brand attachment range. Don't know how much of a deal the attachment range is, but I guess we'll see once we start playing around with it. Added a small passive leading to Sign of Purpose, which grants 20% increased mana regeneration rate and 40% increased damage with brand skills. Ritual of Awakening no longer grants +1 to maximum number of summon totems. Instead, it now causes skills that would summon a totem to summon 2 totems instead, and grants 3% more damage per totem. That is crazy. Okay, so that's the Ascendancy Balances. Item balancing, here we go. Oh, I already see it. Molten Strike. 1 additional projectile from the Merciless Labyrinth down from 2, and 2 additional projectiles from the Eternal Labyrinth down from 3. Okay. So they upped the damage a bit, got rid of a bit of the less, and took off of a projectile. So it technically has been nerfed. RIP. Because that's 1 more projectile is essentially 100% more, and just taking off 10% of the less. Yeah, that's ouch. Not exactly necessary to make a build complete with Molten Strike, but that 3rd was always juicy. Okay, Tectonic Slam, Labyrinth Helmet, Enchant now grants increased chance to charge Slam. Okay, rather than granting a chance to not consume an endurance charge at half of the original enchantment's value. So what can you get up now? That's the question. Let's see. Disabled the Ice Spear Labyrinth Helmet enchantments that increase the damage dealt by Ice Spear. Existing items with this enchantment will go unchanged, but this enchantment cannot appear on any more items. Well, there you go. There's another collectible for standard. Disabled the Vortex Labyrinth Helmet enchant that increases the base radius of Vortex. Existing items with this enchantment will go unchanged. Cool. Same deal. Items exclusive to the Shaper's Guardians and Elder Guardians now drop less frequently. Please give us good enough buffs though. Uniques exclusive to the Elder's Guardians now also drop based on map tier, with some items unable to drop until higher map tiers. Shaper and Elder items and jewels can now gain mods that affect non-element chaos damage over time multiplier and cold damage over time multiplier. Okay, that's pretty cool. Ruby, Sapphire, and Topaz flasks no longer grant added maximum resistance. Instead, they each reduce the damage taken of their respective elements by 20%. That's to stop the full immunity Pathfinder, I think. I wonder if that does get rid of 100% immunity. If so, rip. We won't see Delve 6000 again. The Shaper weapon mods, which cause you to gain a portion of physical damage as extra cold, fire, and lightning damage, or extra damage of a random element, grant half as much extra damage. Amulets are unaffected by this change, and this does not affect existing items. Existing versions can be updated to these new values with a divine orb. Ooh. That's a pretty big nerf. Half as much. So that answers my question about the Blade Vortex stat stick and the Glacial Cascade stat stick. There's still, I mean, you can get 30%, I think. So 15%. And some of them go up to 40%, so 20%. Yeah, that's not too bad, but that is still a pretty significant nerf as far as statistics go. But I still think you'll want one of those over anything else for Blade Vortex or Glacial Cascade. Can't really think of anything else you would want over those. Okay, let's see. The Dying Anguish Divination card can no longer drop. It will return in the future with some modifications. Oh yeah, that's the level 19 gem, I think. Let's see. Unique item balance. Aegis Aurora now has 300 to 400%, up from 80 to 100% increased armor and energy shield. Existing versions can be updated to these new values with a divine orb. So I wonder what the new value is for total on armor and ES for that. New version of Oxium no longer has 10 to 20% increased elemental damage with attack skills. They now have 20 to 25% increased elemental damage with attack skills per power charge. Okay, that's kind of cool. Chill and Freeze is now based on 100%, up from 65% of energy shield. That is nice. That's huge. Huh. And you can update that with a Divine Orb. Crown of Eyes, here we go. Crown of Eyes now causes you to leech from all types of attack damage, not just physical attack damage. This affects all versions of the item. Nice. Okay. Not too bad. Pretty good buff there. Cloak of Defiance now has 300 to 400%, up from 110 to 150. Increased evasion and energy shield. Cloak of Defiance. That's the is that the fire one? Oh no, that's mind over matter. There we go. Okay, so that's a pretty big deal. It's a lot more ES. So that's pretty significant. Okay, next we got Mjolnir. Here we go. Trigger now should be, is it 150 milliseconds? Awesome. Perfect. So now it's brought back in line. Mjolnir's back, maybe? I don't know. It's still probably less than other builds, but should be pretty good now. Pretty solid at least. Hiri's Ire now adds 173 to 188 to 240 to 262. And this is, oh, that is cold damage. Ooh, 2 attacks with bows. It no longer adds cold damage to all attacks. Existing versions can be updated to these new values with a Divine Orb. That's a pretty significant amount of cold damage. That's pretty legit. Maybe the Hope Shredder bow might be a good idea for that. Okay, Carcass Jack, here we go. Now grants 40 to 50% up from 20% increased area of effect. Nice. That's a lot of AoE from that. And that's pretty much it. Upgrade with a Divine Orb. Bringer of Rain now supports socketed skills with a level 18 blind and faster attacks. This change also affects very, very old versions of Bringer of Rain, for which they were the original support levels. A Divine Orb will not update existing items to these new values. However, it will update the life values of Bringer of Rain to the new values of 200 to 220, up from 120 to 160 life. Ooh, Bringer of Rain is back. That is nice. Okay, so next we got Doriani's Fist. And on a side note, that is 12 to 18 right now, what current Bringer of Rain is. So yeah, pretty juicy. Bringer of Rain is back, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Doriani's Fist now adds 150 to 225. Ooh. Down from, so 525 to 600. And on the high end there, down from 900. Not even as high as the lowest high roll for lightning damage to unarmed attacks. Ouch. But adds more to spells while unarmed. Well, that's kind of a bummer. Let's see, can now hit up to 50 enemies per skill use, up from 20. Has 20% more area. Okay, that's cool. Now cost 8 mana instead of 28. Okay. And can no longer be evaded. Ooh. Okay, so you use that part to clear? Scale lightning damage? Huh. It also has 50% less attack speed, down from 30%. 600% added effectiveness up from 350%, and now converts all physical damage to lightning up from 50%. So, Spellcaster Doriani's Fist now? That would be an idea. I'll have to try that. Maybe do cast on melee kill kind of thing for clear. Shield charge. Okay, Lionized Vision now has a dexterity requirement of 160 in addition to the ordinary strength requirement. This does not affect existing versions. Okay, this was made to make it easier to roll green sockets, because that was like the worst part about it. It's a red chest and you want a lot of green sockets on it. Oh man. Okay, cool. Actually, that's a pretty cool change. I might look at that chest again for a couple of builds. Because it just gave you a pierce right out just for free. So you got a 6.5 link, well, it was actually a pretty high level one, so I guess it was more like a 6.7 link. Let's see, Malachi's, Duresso's Defiance. Here, let me scroll it up. Now grants Onslaught for 5, up from 2 seconds per endurance charge when hit, and 60 to 90, up from 40 to 60 life. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, so good life roll on it now, and you get 5 seconds per endurance charge of Onslaught. Existing versions can be updated to these new values with a Divine Orb. New versions also grant 60% to 100% increased Onslaught effect. Ooh, that is nice. Okay, cool. I like it. I wonder if that stacks with Raiders, so you could get 200% Onslaught effectiveness. That would be kind of crazy. That seems like a good idea. Okay. Now we got Malachi's Artifice. No longer has reduced elemental equilibrium effect. This includes all versions. So I guess that item's dead? I mean, now there's not really a reason to use that item. Well, that's interesting. Let's see. Doidry's Skin. Okay, this is the cursed chest thing. No longer reduces the effect of your curses. You can use a Divine Orb to remove this on existing versions. Okay, curses socketed in Doidry's Skin now have 25% reduced effect of curses. Oh, okay. And then you summon the Doidry's Effigy. Skill is now instant. Oh, okay, that's nice. That's really nice. And as a 0.5 second cooldown, you can now have up to 3 effigies at once. Huh. It's pretty cool. Okay, Extractor Mentis. Now it has 10% up from 5% chance to gain Unholy Might for 10 seconds on kill, and a 10% chance to gain Onslaught for 10 seconds on kill. So it was up from 3 and up from 4 seconds on those. You can update that with the Divine Orb. Shade of Solaris now grants 200% up from 120% increased spell damage if you've dealt a critical strike in the past 8 seconds, rather than recently. Okay, Shade of Solaris. Okay, next is the Brine Crown. Oh, okay, the Shade of the Solaris, that was the Sage one that they came out with that could connect to the other piece. Okay, the Brine Crown now has a 240 to 300 up from 100 to 120% increased armor and an energy shield. It now grants 80 to 100 up from 50 to 70 life. Okay, that is nice. And 1,500 up from 800 armor while stationary. Ooh, that's juicy. And yeah, with the 300% armor, that's actually a really big helm for armor, especially if you're going to be stationary. It can be updated with a Divine Orb. New versions will also grant 5% reduced cold damage taken. Okay, that's pretty cool. That's definitely a helm to look out for. Let's see. Light of Lunaris now has 475 to 600% up from 100 to 140% increased energy shield, and 6 to 10% up from 3 to 5% additional chance to block. Okay. You can update with a Divine Orb, and new versions will also grant 35 to 39 to 45 to 60 added cold damage to spells. Okay, cool. I'm pretty sure that's the other piece to the Shade of Solaris. Kitava's Feast, that was the helmet, I believe. Or, no, is this... Oh, no, Kitava's Feast is the mace. That's right. Now has 265 to 330. Up from 250 to 300. Increased physical damage. You can update it with the Divine Orb. So... yeah, it was already pretty good clearing axe. I wonder what the final total is with the 30% on top. Could be pretty good. Pretty good axe. I mean, it's a good way to buff some two-handed stuff that way. Okay, let's see. Arakali's Fang now has 100% up from 20% chance to kill to trigger raised spiders. This affects all versions of the item, though existing items will still say the skill has a 20% chance to trigger on kill. Okay, in before spider builds. The raised spider skill triggered by this item has also undergone the following changes: adjusted visuals and audio effects for raised spider skill. Raised spiders now has a cooldown of 2 seconds. Okay, I was gonna say that could get a little absurd. but every 2 seconds has a 100% chance to trigger on kill. The ray spiders now have 100% more movement. Ooh. A longer range attack, or a longer attack range. A base duration of 30 seconds. Okay, so that was my question. How long do they last? Deal 33% more damage, and also apply poison on hit. They can no longer leap though. Okay, so that's what changes that. So that's why they got so much speed. Ray spiders are now level 75 instead of the level of the area you are in, and are immune to damage. Okay, cool. I was gonna say if they're that low, then that could be a problem. For each ray spider you have, you now gain 2% increased attack speed and 12% increased damage with poison. Ooh! Okay. That's kind of cool. If I recall correctly, it has a pretty good base damage. So, is it a dagger or a claw? I think it's a claw, or I think it's a dagger rather. Okay. Gruthkul's Pelt now grants 200 to 240, up from 130 to 160 life, and 5% up from 2% life regenerated per second. It no longer has a range on global physical damage. Instead grants 100%. So is this a buff as far as the damage goes? Because the life that's amazing on the life roll. Holy shit. 5% regenerated a second. This is the one though where you can't cast spells, but dude, that's pretty big. Huh. And existing versions can be upgraded with the divine. Cool, and Aracali's was a dagger. Okay. Gurrikan's Flight now has 320 to 380, up from 80 to 120% increased evasion rating, and grants 2, up from 1 life per 10 dex. Okay, per 10 dex. Existing versions can be updated with a divine. Awesome. Tidebreaker, here we go. This is that stun. I believe that's a stun mace. So they've upped the damage. Looks like 25 on the high end. Well, 340 to 375 from 300 to 350, and on the low end 70 to 80, up from 60 to 70, and existing versions can be updated with a divine orb. And to answer the question about Gruthkul's Pelt, looks like the highest roll it could have had for global physical damage was 100, so now it's just automatically max roll for phys damage. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. Martyr of Innocence increases fire damage, is no longer conditional. Now grants 230 to 250 to 300 to 350, up from 130 to 350 to 200 to 250. I think that's I'm wanting to say there was some kind of typo there. Added fire damage to spells. Existing versions can be updated to these new values with a divine orb. Okay, Rislatha's Coil now grants 80 to 100 life, 30 to 40% up from 20% less minimum damage, and 30 to 40% up from 20% more maximum damage. Existing versions of can be updated to these new values. So let's see. Martyr of Innocence, was that staff? Yeah, that was that fire staff. Okay. The one that has the vengeance skill. And then okay, 100% increased fire damage if you have been hit recently. And then damage penetrates 15% of fire resistance if you have blocked recently. Okay, so we got... Oh, the increased fire damage is no longer conditional. So it now just has the 100% increased fire damage. That's pretty nice, actually. Okay. And then, what was that? Rislatha? That is the belt. Okay. %, more maximum physical attack damage, 20% less minimal physical attack damage. Okay, that's what it has, and then it went to... Okay, so it has just life on it now. That's nice. Okay. So there's an even bigger gap though. 30 to 40% less minimal. But again, 30 to 40%. And that's physical. Or is it just less minimal completely? Because the original item has more maximum physical and then less maximum physical. So if that's just period, you could use lightning damage because it already has a huge gap between the rolls. That might be something to check out for Hyone's Fury build. It's an idea. Yeah, looks pretty good. Hopefully, yeah, we'll have to see what the item fully gets updated to. Because if that less minimum damage is not physical, then that's pretty cool for lightning-based builds. Okay, Dusk Dawn now grants 120 to 150% up from 120 increased spell damage if you've dealt a critical strike recently. It now has 10% chance to block. Existing versions can be updated to these new values with a divine orb. Dusk Dawn was... Which one is that? Oh, okay, so that's the staff. Oh, that's the staff when you put the two pieces of the Solaris and the Lunaris together. Okay, that's cool. Let's see, Leper's Alms now has 500 to 600%. Wow, that's It's a huge increase from 130 to 150. Increased evasion and energy shield. Yeah, probably an item that nobody ever looked at. At least I don't recognize the name. Oh, okay. So that was the spike shield. Okay. So that's a pretty big deal. That's a lot more evasion rating and a decent bit of ES. It's the one that 40% increased duration of elements on enemies. Plus 3 to 4% chance to block shared suffering. And all damage from hits will cause elemental ailments you are suffering. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. Elemental ailments you inflict are removed from you. Okay, that's pretty cool. So that might be a shield to check out. Maybe on with the combo of ES and evasion for the trickster. That might be kind of fun to play around with. Let's see. Grellwood Shank now has 185 to 215%, up from 170 to 190% increased physical damage, and updated with the Divine Orb. Ball Timber Blade, again increased in damage, 180 to 250 from 170 to 190. Increased physical damage. Same thing with the Divine Orb. And the Arborix now has 95 to 115 to 240 to 265. This is up from 60 to 70 to 180 to 210 physical damage. And that can be updated with the Divine Orb. Which the thing is, the Arborix, the problem with it is you have Iron Reflexes, so you get this, and then suddenly you don't have Iron Reflexes, so you get another buff. And I mean, if you're going to have Iron Reflexes, you're probably just going to take Iron Reflexes all the time. That's pretty much been the only problem with that bow. But and then you're dealing damage up close. I mean, at that point, you just take a chin soul, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe that one just needs a complete rework. I mean, it does give you extra projectiles, but I don't know. It's okay, I guess. New versions of Augur now grant 100% increased physical damage while you have Resolute Technique. Void Scepter. Okay. You have Resolute Technique while you do not have Elemental Overload. Every 16 seconds you gain Elemental Overload for 8 seconds. Okay, that's kind of cool. One-handed mace. Interesting. That's something that would be kind of fun to build around, but again, those alternating effect things kind of get a little weird. Real quick with the Grellwood Shank and the Bell Timber Blade. Okay, yeah, that's the one that adds Iron Flex as well, stationary, and 2 additional projectiles if you've been hit recently is the Grellwood, and then I think the other one is the one that adds 2 projectiles if you've used a movement skill. Bell timber. Whoops. Icon spell. Okay. Anyway, Volcanus no longer has added fire damage against bleeding enemies or added physical damage against ignited enemies. It no longer has a chance to inflict bleed against ignited enemies. It now has, so they're completely reworking this one. So let's see here. It now has 130 to 160 to 220 to 400 to 240. There we go. Added fire damage and 85 to 110 to 130 to 150 added physical damage. So now grants 70 to 100% increased fire damage versus bleeding enemies, and 70 to 100% increased physical damage versus ignited enemies. Now has a 50% chance to inflict bleed. It now grants 160 to 200%, up from 80 to 120% increased chance to critically strike while you have Avatar of Fire, and 2,000 up from 1,000 armor while you do not have Avatar of Fire. Okay, so this is the alternating one that alternates the Avatar of Fire thing. Okay. That's pretty cool, I guess. Let's see, what do we got next? Razor of the Seventh Sun. That's the Phoenix Guardian. Yeah, that's the Phoenix Guardian sword. Now has 90 to 110 to 145 to 170, up from 65 to 75 to 110 to 130 added physical damage. Existing versions can be updated with a Divine Orb. Cool. It now grants 25% chance to ignite and 25% physical damage converted to fire. Okay. So you can get 50% damage converted to fire with 2 of them. And then it's just got increased physical. Let's see. And then you recover 1% of maximum life when you ignite an enemy. 100% increased burning damage if you've ignited an enemy recently. And then 100% increased melee physical damage against ignited enemies. And that's a decent buff to the physical damage, so that could be a pretty good weapon now. They said they wanted to bring the Guardian weapons up for both Shaper and Elder Guardians to actually make them pretty solid choices. So yeah, that looks pretty good. That'll give it, what's the 130 going to 170? It's another 40 on the top end. So that'll almost give it, it'll be close to 300, almost 300 DPS weapon. That's not bad. Okay, Obscurantis now grants 800 to 1000, up from 300 to 500 accuracy rating. Ooh. That's the helmet from what's his name? Chimera. There we go. So that's the Chimera's helmet. That's actually pretty nice. I think it's the one that gives projectile damage based on accuracy. Should be. That'd be pretty nice. Juggernaut bow build again. Yeah, that would be kind of fun. Snake Pit no longer causes your spells to fire an additional projectile. Instead, it now causes projectiles from spells to fork, but prevents them from chaining while in the left ring slot, and now grants +1 chain to projectiles from spells, but prevents them from forking while in the right ring slot. Snake Pit now prevents spells from piercing. Existing versions cannot be updated. Okay, well that's kind of cool if you're going to stop them from piercing. I like the chain because then there's another chain source for Magma Orb. I'm okay with that getting a little more insane. That's kind of fun. Let's continue the meme. But kind of gonna miss the additional projectile. Oh well. Silver Tongue, the other thing from the Hydra, no longer causes arrows to pierce all targets after chaining, or arrows that pierce to inflict bleed. Now causes arrows to pierce, all targets after forking. It now grants arrows that fork 150 to 200% increased critical strike chance. It's cool, I guess. And arrows that pierce plus 50% critical strike multiplier. Okay, that's... So, if they're piercing, they got the crit multi on the target they hit. That's just like what happens with... Right? So if that's the case, that's pretty good, but if it works the same on the fork, then it gives you the first target. Okay, so that might give it enough single target, if I'm correct on that. Now has, and I've already seen the damage numbers on it, the damage numbers still aren't high enough to warrant using it unless, if I'm right on how that works, then it's actually good enough to actually use. But that's the question. Okay, here's the juicy one I've been waiting for. Reach of the Council, and we already know that it's gaining greater volley. Existing versions can be updated to these new values with a Divine Orb. But this will not change the additional arrows into greater volley. But it will up the damage. Okay. So we get greater volley, and instead of 50 to 70, or it's 50 to 75 instead of 40 to 50. Actually, I think that's higher than what I was playing around with, so... Okay, that's pretty hype then. That might be able to beat a Lionized Glare for poison-based builds, but if Greater Volley has a less multiplier to it... at a certain point it becomes less valuable to have GMP, but if it's built in, it'll be a 7 link. It might work. we'll have to see. Yeah, I'm assuming it's got the same less multiplier as GMP. So yeah, it'll work. It's pretty much a 7th link then for Barrage. So that Barrage build is coming back for full range, maybe? I don't know. Definitely want to test it for poison though. That'll be cool. The Void Gaze skill granted by Eber's Unification now reduces enemy chaos resistance by 20%, has a base range of 39, up from 26, and now correctly scales with the effect to the range. Scales its effect to the range. It now lasts 10 seconds, up from 2.5 seconds, and has a cooldown of 2 seconds from 3 seconds. The effect, this affects all versions of the item. Eber's Unification now has 150 to 180, up from 120 to 150. Increased energy shield. Existing versions can be updated to the new values with a Divine Orb. And that is... Oh, okay, this is one of the Reach of the Council. That's the helmet. Okay, so it's getting greater energy shield. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then the Void Gaze skill gem. Okay, that's pretty cool for the reduced chaos resistance. Okay. That seems pretty legit. So let's see, we got Void Fletcher. Now grants a Void Charge every 500 milliseconds instead of 1 second. And the cooldown on the Void Shot has been reduced from 500 milliseconds to 250 milliseconds. Void Shot now travels and explodes 50% faster and deals 100% more area damage, up from 50%, and has added damage effectiveness of 120%, up from 100. This affects all versions of the item. And that was... Okay, that's the quiver from Elder. Okay, Void Fletcher, yeah, now I remember. Okay, that's pretty cool. This is a buff. Okay, Queen of the Forest now grants 1% increased movement speed per 600. Ooh. Nerf to Queen of the Forest. Ouch. So 600 now per 1% movement speed for evasion rating, and up to 75%, down from 100%. Ouch. Another Queen of the Forest nerf. I wonder why. I thought that was already kind of a harsh cap on it. Know a couple of people who's going to be upset over that one. Huh. And this affects all versions of the item. Ouch. Okay, here we go. Impulses. Let's see how big of a nerf this is. If it's buffed, then I don't even. Shocked enemies you kill to explode, dealing 5% of maximum life as lightning damage, which cannot shock, no longer has a range of 5 to 10% now, and is now set at 5%. Okay. Existing versions can be updated to these new values. So technically that's a nerf, but not too much. I mean, my scepter that I was using on my BV is 5% fire, and that still helped clear tremendously. So I don't know. I don't feel like that's much of a change, really. Okay, Sintrek, here we go. Is this a buff? No, it's a nerf. Rip 100 to 150 down from 100 to 160 energy shield. Which, I guess, yeah, it was pretty much, if you're needing high amounts of energy shield, pick up Sintrek for boots. Easy. And, yeah. So, fair enough there. Sedima's Touch now increases quantity of items found from slain enemies by 5 to 10%. Ouch, that is a pretty big hit, down from 12 to 16. Existing versions can be updated to these new values. Ouch. Indigon, here we go. This is probably going to be a pretty big one. Figure this was a thing. Okay, now grants 20 to 25% down from 50 to 60% increased spell damage for each 200 mana you have spent recently, up to a maximum. Oh, ouch. Oof. That, ouch. Okay, well, that hurts. There just went a build that I was pretty much helping a friend get ready for. There went that version of his build. I mean 2000, I have to do the damage calculations. I mean, it's not going to be the absurd stuff that they were doing in the when they were pushing for 6,000 on Delve, but I still hope 2,000 is big enough to just kind of be absurd a little bit. Existing versions can be updated to these new spell damage values with a Divine Orb. However, all versions are now affected by the spell damage cap. So, rip Infinite Indigon. Okay, let's see. Quill Rain now causes you to deal 40% less damage as opposed to weapon damage. This affects all versions of the item. Huh. Well, bollocks. That hurts a little bit. Okay, rip poison there. Ouch. Okay, Wind Ripper now has 30 to 40% down from 60 to 80% increased critical strike chance. 48 to 60 to 72 to 90, up from 32 to 40 to 48 to 60 added cold. Okay, so more cold damage, and then 120 to 150 up from 80 to 100 added lightning. So they took down the crit chance, which is kind of a bummer, because that was one of the big things, is always hitting those crits to apply status effects. Not sure how I feel about that one, which I haven't really done a Wind Ripper build in a couple of leagues, so maybe not missing that one. Chinsoul now deals 50%. Yeah, big Chinsoul nerf. That thing's been broken for a while. If you just need a damage on a bow, slap a Chinsoul, you win. But they did up the physical damage though from 200 to 260% rather than where it was at 150 to 180. Okay, so now it's got pretty significant amount of physical on it. So I guess it's still going to be pretty strong, but yeah, the 100% more damage with arrow hits was pretty absurd. Doesn't feel too bad though, looks like. Especially where they're increasing it 50%, or sorry, 50 flat damage to 80 flat damage on the top end. Or sorry, that's 80%. Okay, never mind. Whoops. So 80% on the top end and 50% on the low end as far as the flat damage is concerned. There we go. Divination Distillate no longer provides additional maximum resistances during flask effect and instead provides plus 50 to all elemental resistances during flask effect. Existing divination distillates are not affected. Okay. Yeah, where they changed the, I guess they're getting rid of the total immunity. So, because I believe that's how you had to do it, was with the flask giving maximum resistances. So, yeah. Let's see. Spine of the first claimant now grants plus 25 to 35% to cold damage over time multiplier. Okay. Let's see. What's the next one? Chain of Unraveling now grants plus 40 to 55% to non-ailment chaos damage over time multiplier and 20 to 30% increased chaos damage, down from 60 to 80%. Okay, which again, trading the increase for the more, I'll take it. Tasty damage. Existing versions can be updated to these new values with Divine, but this will not grant the non-element chaos damage over time multiplier. Oops. Okay, that's the spine of the first claimant. That's that increased damage with hits against frozen enemies. Scepter. Okay. Interesting. Kind of curious that it grants the overtime and it has a hit effect. Might be something to look at Arctic Breath with. And then the Cane of Unraveling. Oh, okay. Cane of Unraveling. That's what I used for my Blight build. Okay, that's the Esmite staff. The +2 to Chaos Gems, two-handed, or staff. Okay, so they took the Chaos damage, and now they gives more for the damage over time. Man, that's actually pretty legit. Blight or Essence Drain, more multiplier. That's pretty strong. Okay, Rhyme Gaze now grants 16 to 22% cold damage over time multiplier. Let's see, then we have Flesh and Spirit, no longer grants 5 souls for Vol skills on Rampage, and causes kills to grant an additional Vol soul if you've Rampaged recently instead. Okay, so that's a big deal because what they were doing before, pretty sure that's what they were using to consistently keep getting um, the full immunity from that support build, and essentially that's what they were doing to push the crazy delves using, what was it, the Gluttony of Elements, where the elemental damage actually heals you. And the Rhyme Gaze, oh, that's the helmet with conch effect in it. Okay. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So you run that with Vortex in it, throw the Frostbolt out, and then pop Vortex on the enemy. Use that Scepter. That's kind of cool. Or even, yeah, use both maybe, and then that's pretty much a 5-link right there for Arctic Breath. Throw an Arctic Breath, then have its damage, and stack it with the Vortex for the Frostbolt, maybe? I don't know. That's an idea. A very active playstyle, but if that works, that could be a really cool dot stacking idea. I might try that. I might look into theory crafting that. Let's see. Wildfire is now limited to 1. Ouch. So again, they did buff the damage, and I thought they were buffing Molten Strike, but turns out they are nerfing it. Nerfed it pretty hard. So there goes 3 total projectiles off of it. Ouch. That's... So now you need the lab enchant. Really? I mean, it still has absurd damage, but you definitely kind of need to be looking for that lab enchant. Let's see. Zurfi's Last Breath now grants a buff when you use a skill during the flask effect. This buff recovers 450 to 600% of the skill's mana cost as life per second. This buff and healing is removed when you are hit. This affects all versions of the item. So Zurfi's was the big, like, I'm kind of... It's the Parandus Flask. Yeah, so skills used during skill flask effect grant the same percentage, I believe. $450 to 600, yep. As life per second. And then as life over 4 seconds. So this is... So this is technically a buff, but it's removed when you are hit. Interesting. Huh. So no more, I'm gonna sit here and face tank. That's pretty interesting. So they're trying to get rid of everything that oh dear. They're trying to get rid of anything that gives complete immunity. Let's see here. Blood of Corruption, Gluttony of Elements skill now prevents those affected by the aura from gaining Vol Souls. Okay, so this is for all versions. Okay, cool. Yeah, actually, I'm kind of questioning why that wasn't a thing to begin with. Rigwald's crest now correctly displays a 10% chance to summon wolves on kill, rather than the value of. Oh, so is that it? It's just. That was totally a lie because it was actually 10%. This is purely a cosmetic change. That's funny. Okay. Clarify the description of Skull's Bridal key mod. To clarify, it does not apply when spending mana on a reservation, only for costs. This too is a purely cosmetic change. Cool. So, a lot of item changes there. A lot of build ideas to try to work around. So, yeah, maybe Crown of Eyes, looking at that again. That's pretty neat. Love that. Okay, let's see. We're a little over halfway now. Monster changes. We might skip over a couple of these. The Rogue Exile. Cool. Okay, so updated Ice Spear, Cannibal Torch, throwing behavior. It looks cooler now. Awesome. Hurl blood apes at you. Oh dear. Fury Hounds. Now used an updated version of Burning Ground. Cool. Atzoatl changes. Present-day Temple is now average level of each incursion plus 10, capped at the highest level incursion for that temple. Okay, cool. Azurite Mine and Sulphite changes. Also, before I think it was plus 5 is how they capped it, or capped at the highest level rather. So, okay. Azurite Mine and Sulphite changes. Player depth notifications are now only announced every 50 levels. Cool. So you won't be spammed to death. Awesome. Slightly reduce the damage dealt by the darkness based on player life and energy shield. Add a small amount of flat damage. Ooh, there it is. That gets rid of the whole just infinitely farming with no stats. Okay, fine. What's up? What's up, Digger? How's it going, man? Let's see here. Let's see. The pulsating grotto encounter now lasts longer before the boss appears. Monsters from this encounter award significantly more experience when slain. Okay, that's cool. I'll take more XP. Reduce the number of Urside that plummet in the plummeting Urside encounter. Oh man, kind of like that one. That was kind of fun. Lots of XP there. But yeah, I can see it. Did have some frame drop in that one. Special encounters now drop more rare items. Okay. Wider variety of items as well. Fossils and resonators are now found more frequently behind fractured walls. Yes. Okay, cool. I was hoping they'd do something with that since... Oh. Oh, okay, bring dynamite. Okay, so yeah. I wonder if they're gonna have not as many out in the open now. That'll be interesting. Voltaxic sulfide acquisition values have been adjusted to account for the new rate at which you encounter voltaxic sulfide veins. Okay, cool. So hopefully we get enough to actually do some decent delving. Otherwise, rip. Let's see. So, yeah, pretty much no more infinite just fossil grinding. Or if there is, it's going to be very limited. I wonder how they're gonna... wonder what the flat damage is too, and how much it increases. That's gonna be a big question to answer. But anyway, Bestiary and Menagerie changes. Imaginary changes. Your Bestiary book is now account-wide. Woohoo! If you catch a beast in one league, it'll be recorded in your Bestiary in all other leagues in perpetuity. The itemized beasts themselves are still league-specific. There is now a global capture limit of 1,000 beasts rather than the per genus limit. Okay, yeah, that's what I was trying to say before that I couldn't word with. So the previous total maximum was approximately 680, though most players were likely to hit the genus specific limits, and that was the biggest problem because like you'd want to have a ton of frogs and you could only have 3, so you were forced to craft. Like that was probably the biggest pain. Beast crafting recipes have been completely reworked and simplified. Yeah, now apparently you just get the rare mob and then you have whatever 1 or 2 rares that you put together and it's done easy. You don't have to sort through 50 different ones and everything else. So hopefully this is super streamlined now. Non-spirit beast unique beast can't appear in the Menagerie or Bestiary. Okay. Prophecy changes. Adjusted the weightings of many prophecies. You can now complete the steps to many prophecy chains in various maps. Okay, cool. That's, thank goodness. Because going back to like Act 2 for something, or going back to Act 3 or whatever, that was just silly. Like, if we can now do it in like a corresponding map, that is legit. That is awesome. Prophecies which can trigger in maps no longer lock their triggers to specific maps out of their possible pool. In other words, if you attempt to open a map where a prophecy might trigger and it doesn't, it may trigger next time you open it. Well, that's a big change. So, yeah, what you had to do before, as it says there, if you did not trigger it in that map, it never would. What you could do is you could take the prophecy, seal it, then reopen the prophecy again, and then when you reopen the prophecy, you could then go ahead and try to open the same map. Say you did a lava lake and it didn't work, and then you did another lava lake. It could work after you reopened it. Well, if it didn't work, then you could close it and reopen the prophecy and do another attempt. So that's pretty much it. Locked it to specific tile sets based on what it would open. And I believe even some prophecies were locked out of certain tile sets altogether, if I'm correct on that one. So that's where it got a little tricky. Prophecies that previously forced the appearance of one of the old masters now force the appearance of one of the new ones instead. Okay, cool. So, actually that's... I don't like that. That's not good. That means if you can get Nico on a prophecy, if you buy up all the Nicos, then you just have all the Sulphite. That means whoever has the most money to get the most Sulphite will be the ones who win the Delve race. I mean, if that's the way they want it to be raced in a trade league, then I guess. But, I mean, that's probably what it's going to come down to. I don't know. I don't know if that's healthy or not. I'm personally not a fan. Okay, let's see. Map changes. Here we go. And we already know they shuffled the Atlas of Worlds. Most maps have changed tier and location within the Atlas. Okay, here we go. Minimap bosses have also shifted around. Some have been retired and replaced. Thank goodness Torture Chamber is gone. It was literally torturous to go through. Woohoo! Digger with the $10, thank you. Okay, let's see here. Completing a map. Wait, here we go. Atlas, as part of the Atlas Shuffle, mini-maps have been reviewed with the goal of bringing their layouts or monster densities up to par with other maps. They've said this 40 times. Okay, talk to you then, Digger. Okay, so let's see. They've said that before. I hope the densities are on par, but I don't know. Well, yeah. Still, when you use Rampage and you see that there's 200 mobs in one map, and then you go to like Underground Sea and you hit the 1,000 cap and are still going, yeah, something's not balanced there, especially when, you know, that's 5 times the mobs and it doesn't take 5 times the amount of time to get through it. It's still longer and slightly more annoying, but definitely not 5 times the time. Map icons have been updated to indicate that they are part of a new series. Existing maps from the previous series have been updated to these new versions. Okay, cool. Completing a map as part of Zana's mission now counts toward your Atlas map completion and any associated challenges or achievements. Okay. The Springs map has been replaced with Fungal Hollow map. Oh, existing Springs maps will now open portals to Fungal Hollow. Okay, so that's why they were in the parentheses in the manifest, or not manifest, well, or the map changes notes. Okay. So Acid Lakes will now open to Acid Caverns. Tribunal with Crater. Gorge is now out. Now you have the Glacier map. That one I might be a little sad to see go, though the density on it was definitely pretty low compared to what it was when it was in its former glory. Torture Chamber, get out. Hype. Replaced by the Primordial Blocks. And also that fight is legit. Wait, okay, they got it. Torture Chamber maps will now open portals to the Lunaris Temple. Kidding. It'll open a portal to the Primordial Blocks. Oh gosh. Sextants that previously forced the appearance of one of the old masters now force the appearance of one of the new ones instead. Okay, that's kind of random. So not the same problem that the prophecy one had. Increase the average number of monsters spawned inside the Abyssal Depths area. Okay, that's kind of cool. The Atlas icons, which indicate that a certain map contains a memory fragment, will now correctly state whether it is the boss, an Elder Guardian, or the Elder itself that holds it. Okay. Little QOL there. Visions of Justice and the Goddess's projectile barrage skills, okay, have changed in such a way that instead of multiplying the number of projectiles These fire additional projectiles add the total number of projectiles fired. Hallelujah. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Whew. Because walking in there and having extra projectiles with the goddess barrage and just seeing a wall of death flying at your face was quite terrifying. Like, if you got hit by that, dead. Okay, Zana League mods. Here we go. This is what I was curious about. So now, if you gotta progress through her challenges, so I'm wondering if to get the final one you have to kill Uber Elder. Let's find out. Anarchy. So wait, with the removal of master levels, Zana map device options are now unlocked and progress through the Atlas quest chain. These are League mods available during 3.5 with their costs in expected order that they will be unlocked. Anarchy, 2 Chaos, 3 Exiles. Torment, you get 4 Tormented Spirits, 2 Chaos. Fortune Favors the Brave, 3 Chaos, same as it's been. One of the random, any of them that can pop up. Cool. Alternate of same tier is 1 Chaos, and that opens random rare map of the same tier, excluding the map placed in the device. Domination, 3 Chaos, 3 Shrines. Parandus, 3 Chaos, 33% chance to contain Kadiro, and area contains 3 additional Parandus chests, so we'll get Parandus back this league. That'll be fun. Shape tier 1 through 5 costs 2 Chaos, requires a rare map. Old versions of your map at 5 tiers higher randomly rolled as a rare. Breach, 4 Chaos, so... Ooh. So are we getting Breach earlier now? Okay, area contains 2 additional breaches. This could be insane. Plus the scarabs. Man, you could have like 5 breaches in an area. Okay, you got my attention. Harbinger, 4 Chaos. Area contains mysterious harbingers. And if I recall correctly, before, just to do the same thing with breaches, you had to spend 6 Chaos. So area contains 2 extra harbingers. That's pretty nice if you can get that earlier. That means I might be able to plan around some of the harbinger items a little sooner if we can get these pretty quick. So then you get shape tier 1 through 10. Costs 6 Chaos. Requires a map. So then you can just have tier 15s for 6 Chaos. No big deal. Abyss. So Abyss is going to be one of the higher ones. Area contain abysses. Area contains 2 additional abysses. Okay. So that's 5. But now we can farm abyss stuff that way, hopefully. And then Elder tier 1 to 15. So you spend 15 Chaos and you get a tier 16 map randomly rolled as a rare with a chance to be corrupted. Huh. So I mean, I guess you could brick your map when you go in if you can't do it. And then it could just be insanely hard at the same time. That's interesting. I just wonder how profitable that'll be at 15 Chaos. Definitely pretty hype though. If that's going to be the last thing that you do, which I'm guessing is kill Uber Elder. Then you get any map you want to be an Elder map, essentially. So yeah, that's pretty cool if that's what that is. Then you could start like for trade leagues anyway. You could start like a Uber Elder like Rhoda kind of thing, one hideout. That'd be interesting. Okay, curious to see how that turns out. Strongbox Changes. Stream of Monsters Strongbox mod now spawns monsters much more quickly. Hallelujah. This mod can now only appear in areas of level 35 or higher. Cool. User interface improvements. Remove the Leave Guild button from the drop-down player menu. The league key default V now shows either the Bestiary, your incursion temple, oh okay, the Delve, Azurite mine, or the Betrayal investigation board based on where you are when you use it. Okay. I was like, wait, where's this going? But yeah, V is how you check your mine all the time. Okay. So I'm guessing though, is there a way to, I guess each one, you have to go to the different areas to see what is going on with each. I wonder if there's going to be a way that you can just bring up a tab and then tab through each of them. Be curious to see what they do there. The Stash tab drop-down menu now shows symbols next to the various premium tabs to help differentiate them. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the symbol next to it that, oh yeah. That actually is pretty legit. So I don't know how you implement them, but that was one of the announcements they did. So now, if you have like 30 tabs, you can just see your icon rather than having to read each of the names, which I just have all mine color coded, so that's kind of how I scroll through mine. But cool. That's pretty good QOL for a stash tab, especially people who have like 50 or 60 of them and they have to like scroll down to find the one they want. That's a lot easier than having to read everything. Added a minimap zoom slider. Ooh, nice. Double nice. That is great. Okay, because I don't know about anybody else, but the minimap when looking at the top right, it's cool, but I wish it was zoomed out a little more so I could see a wider area. Let's see. You can now buy entire stacks of currency from vendors with shift click. This will buy the most you can afford, up to a full stack. Cool. Well, that's a pretty good QOL. Now you don't have to click for all those fusing orbs from jewelers. Okay, almost done. Here we go. Quest rewards. Zana map rewards have been updated. Let's see. PvP changes. Okay, the capacity to create PvP only characters is now unlocked after freeing the Scion. Okay. Poet's Pen, Null's Inclination, Asenath's Chant, Mjolnir. Okay, so it looks like all the Cospreys and the Cast on Critical Strike gem now scale the damage of the triggered spell based on the attack time of the triggered attack. They no longer have an 80% damage penalty across all triggered skills. Okay. Cool little PvP balancing there. And the block transfer reduction support has been adjusted, and that was Up in support gems, yeah. They say C support gems. Cool. Let's see if there's any interesting bug fixes that they're doing here. Stone skin, flare, skill effect, audio would linger after death. Okay, that's kind of funny. Doriani's touch skill wasn't visually scaling to its area. I believe it. Fix the bug with very old characters that could make it unclear how to continue after slaying Dominus. Okay, that's funny. Fix the case of desync caused by the guild stash location in towns and hideouts while you were not in a guild. Okay, that's kind of a funny one. Detonate dead could fail to detonate a detonatable corpse if there were non-detonatable corpses around. Okay, that's awkward. Zoph's Nurture 3D model was for the wrong base type. RIP. Prevented Mjolnir from triggering Orb of Storms. Ooh. Possible to complete an uncomplete a challenge multiple times? What? Okay. Increased damage sources on minions were increasing damage in ways they shouldn't have been. I believe it. Damage vortexes, or blade vortexes, damage multipliers were also affecting the decay it was applying. Huh. Well, that would have been something. Using an instant skill would not remove the phase run buff. Actually, yeah, now that I think about it, I think I would pop on Blood Rage and still have phase run going. Okay, let's see. Mana spent as part of reservation did not count towards sources that tracked and cared about mana spent, such as Kitaba's Thirst. Huh. Yeah, I was gonna say it did work before, but it bugged somewhere along the line. But that was like back in 2.5? 2.4 when I played that. Fix the bug using oh, whoops. Again, where golem duration and being passed down from the primordial jewels to the golems themselves when it should not have been. Oh my gosh. Oh well. Let's see. Crash Cause attempted to use detonate mines after it had been given a mana cost. And you did not have the mana required to use it. Okay. Let's see. Casting Vol Molten Shell while you already had a Vol Molten Shell active would prevent Vol Molten Shell from correctly detonating. That's interesting. Old accounts could have Shaper Strongholds on Guardian maps. Okay, that's weird. Sources of reduced effective curses exceeding 100%, your curse would behave erratically. I kind of want to know what some of that was. It'd be funny if things gained like super movement speed from temp chains or something. Okay, let's see. Shaper Strongholds spawn on maps that weren't adjacent to Elder Influence. This was unintended. Prevent cannibal fire eater specters from doing anything but auto-attacking large bosses. Monsters become untargetable in the Delve, Undead Roa encounter, and the laboratory map. Interesting. Oh, yeah, actually I had that bug with the laboratory map. I'm glad that's fixed, because I was like, what in the world is going on here? Like the final door wouldn't open where you have to fight all the ads. I just couldn't do anything. I just had to sit there and wait. And then I actually had to just brick the map a couple of times. So yeah, that was pretty rippy. But okay, cool. Well, that's the last of the patch notes. Looking good. I'm pretty hyped. A lot of items, a lot of build ideas, a lot to look at this league. Definitely changing up the meta. They've gotten rid of most of the broken stuff, so I mean, really, as far as builds I like, didn't affect me too much. There's a couple of things that I was kind of sad to hear or see go, but I mean, I do like now how they've got so much that they like to rotate stuff in and rotate stuff out. Definitely probably going to look at something with Bringer of Rain. That is insane that it's back pretty much Legacy now. Maybe a little bit less on the life, but practically Legacy with Bringer of Rain. So no big deal. Let's go. Anyway, yeah, looks good.